Hey guys, welcome to Coding with Josh. So today I want to talk about JavaScript. I love the language of JavaScript. So if you're if you're hoping to learn JavaScript, you're in the right place. And let me help you get started. So in my browser, I'm in kind of a JavaScript editor that you can view online, totally free. So just open up a new tab, type in playcode.io, right? Okay, if you just go there, open free editor, you're going to end up exactly where I was. Yours will probably have some pre-filled code, just like you saw here. So let me get you caught up. I'm actually going to delete all this for a second because I want you to learn from the ground zero. Like this is a video for those who are learning from the very beginning, okay? And they want to get into, some web application development or website development. This is the place for you, okay? So we've got three little files here. I've got my source, which contains two files, and that's your script.js and your style.css. So your script.js, that's JavaScript. We're going to end up in this tab right now. Your style sheet, that's just how everything looks. It's really the design. So if you think of a house, that's like your painting and your carpets, and when you choose out the drapes and the tiling, this is all that. We decide how things look. So, and then this HTML file, this will come into play a little bit because really to code a website or any kind of web app, for the most part, it's predominantly in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so we might have to do some basic things in here. So I want to cover it basically. HTML is your framework. If you're building a house, that's like your framing, your 2x4s, all of the walls, the drywall, and your roofing. That's your HTML. You're deciding what elements to show on your page. So like you can see each one of these is a tag with that greater than and less than sign. Once it's closed, like you usually have the tag and then a closing tag. Okay, so you can see with a backslash that denotes that it's a closing tag. So though this is not a HTML lesson, I want to cover two basic things. So one was tags, how to do a tag, and tags are pre-built. I can't just go make up my own tag and say, this is a butterfly tag and expect a butterfly to fly on the screen. No, there's pre-built things and they have different functionality and even some different styling. So like when I type into this one, you'll see I go inside of it to start typing. Let's just say, hello world. Okay, that's within this tag, and this is known as like the inner HTML. Okay, because it's inside of the tags, and you'll see that I'm making a new one. Well, I know there's one called the P tag, which is for paragraph, and we'll see how this functions a little bit differently than the H1 tag. So if I start typing, also I don't know why this is on the same line, so I'm going to make a break tag. Is it? Okay, let's type in here real quick. They're doing something weird in the CSS that I'm going to go fix in a second. So just pay attention. This is my sentence, or paragraph or whatever. So I'm writing that there, and you can see like, oh, that's how it functions together. Okay, let's go to the CSS. This is displaying flex. I'm going to actually just display this as block. Okay, there we go, right? And maybe I can do like flex block. There. How about inline? There's so many options, and you can see already, like, the nice thing about having an editor is I can actually come in here and say like, oh, I have all these options. I'm going to just go with block, right? So let's do that. It took it away from the center, but at least it put it here. And if I really want it center, I can actually just say margin right is auto, and we need to also do margin, I think it's margin left. Well, just you can take those out. I'm going to show you a cheat. We're going to come up here. We're going to put, a center tag and another center tag at the bottom of the paragraph. I don't want to do it in the script. My bad. So let's do \center. Okay, there we go. All right, now it's at least in the center of the page. Maybe not the center of the screen, but we can deal with that. Okay, so that's kind of your HTML. And I know that was kind of a lesson on HTML in and of itself in 2 minutes. There's so much more you can gain, but let's just keep that alive for a second. And we're going to hop over to our script. Okay, I want to start with JavaScript. We're going to go from the very, very, very beginning. So if you didn't know what the heck you were typing back there, that's okay. I'm going to teach you what you're typing now. So the best thing to do is there's things called variables. And So I want to just kind of give you a demonstration of why we use variables. A lot of people are like, okay, cool, there's variables, what are they and why do you use them? Okay, so here's what a variable is. I can type in the word var and I can say, okay, var message equals hello, my name is, with a space, okay? And then this little semicolon at the end, you usually use that to denote that it's a line break. Like, hey, I'm done with this line, let's go to the next one, you know? Nowadays, JavaScript's really smart, so it will function without it, but it's just good syntax to put that. Good practice. So let's make another one. So if I wanted to do, you know, var name equals Josh, I can actually put these two variables together. So you can add you'll notice I did it in quotes. That is called a string. It just means it's text, right? So I can put two things that are text together, and I can add them with a plus sign. So I'm gonna actually say message plus name. Why did it not like that? Okay, odd. We're gonna put this in a variable itself. New message equals. I don't know why it doesn't like our function name or our variable name, but let's just go forward. So if I want to see what I'm doing, I need to do something called console.log. And then I'm going to say new message. Hey, we got something. I have no idea. Maybe let's rename this. My name. There we go. It likes that better. I don't know why I didn't like the word name. Maybe because it was already being used right here and it was confusing. So, okay. So you can see when I put those two things together, it says, hello, my name is Josh. Okay, and you'll see why I put the space is because if I don't have that space either at the beginning of Josh or the end, usually you do it at the end of your sentence, before you like combine two strings, two text things, you're gonna end up with a a messed up sentence. Is really what it is. So okay, that's what's going on there. But why is this important, right? So now you know how to do it, and actually let me hit one more thing before we go into why is it important. I can change things. So I can actually come right below it and say, my name equals Jimmy, you know. And you'll see that changed immediately right after I changed it, you know. But what if I put it here? Well, it's still saying my name is Jimmy. Why? Because this is running before this. So if I were to put this above it, it changes it. If I put it below it, it doesn't do anything. Okay, even though it happened before I consoled it, it has to happen at the point of like creation or reassignment. You know, so and I could even say this. You know, new message equals my name, and I can come here and I can say now I can put it below it, and now you see. If I change this to Jack, it can do it. Why? Because it's actually updating this before it consoles out a new message. I hope that you're able to follow that. But there's this ability when you're making variables to reassign them and to to create them, to reassign them. You can even redefine them. So all that kind of stuff. But why is it important? I could probably write, hello, my name is Josh, just as easy as I put those two things together, you know. And the reason is, usually you're going to assign variables for two reasons. One is the ability to make it change. So maybe you're dealing with a program where your name is not always going to be Josh. Maybe I have a form that someone fills out and they put in their name, and we want that to store information. And so I'm going to store that information in a variable, and then that name can be whatever they give me, and it's always going to differ. But hello, my name should always stay the same. So it's that ability to have something change and be dynamic. The second reason is sometimes we just do it because we want to hold information that is excessive. I don't want to retype the same line. So let me give you an example of that. There is a way to make a variable called const. You could do this with var as well. So I just showed you var. Var stands for variable. Probably should have mentioned that. But var message. If I just want this, I'm never going to change this. Then I'm just going to say, okay, my sentence is really, really long, and my name is, space. Something like that. Well, I'm going to use this, maybe I'm going to use this over and over and over again throughout my code. and I want to just say it in one word. Well, I can do that, you know. So we can say like var name equals Josh again, and then I can say console.log message plus name. I can say, but now I want to do it again. Name now equals Jack, and I'm going to console.log message plus name, right? So I'm doing this over and over and over again, and there's better ways to do things that are repetitive, but this is a very beginner lesson, right? So if I'm doing things more than once, I should probably make sure that there's variable, because this is much shorter than having to write this every line, right? And I could do this who knows how many times, you know. And there you go. It's all stored within one word. And that's, you know, that's the beauty of having variables. So now that I've covered variables, I want to cover a couple things with the variable. And there's two more words that we can use. One is const, one is let, and one is var, and the other is var, right? And we just learned var. So var is really kind of the old school way of writing your variables. The other two, these two didn't used to exist in JavaScript until later updates, right? And they each do their own, they have their own purpose. They do their own thing. So const, I'm going to show you kind of the difference between these three things so that you can know which one to use. So const would be more like something that's going to stay the same all the time. So if my message stays the same all of the time, you know, like my name is, well, I always want those words, but what comes after those words, that can change. So anything that changes, it's actually a good reason or a good practice to use let. If you just want it in the, you know, oh, this is kind of a broader subject, but it's a good idea to use the word let, because you run into more problems when you use var, because var's scope is so much broader. And it will remember things throughout your code. So if you have a really long code, a lot of people like to use let because they might use the word name again to describe something else, right? So it's a good practice just to use const for the things that are consistent. They don't ever change. And it's a good thing to use let for things that are going to change. So let name equals Jack. This is the same idea. We're going to console.log out our message plus name. And you see that it works the same way. And I can come here and I can say name equals Jim. You know, and I can do this 1,000 times. I can do it as many times as I want. Name equals Jane, all that kind of stuff, right? And now we're starting to see how, you know, I can build these variables. And if I type out message again, maybe I want to say, hello, my name is. I can't actually do that because it's a constant. So that is your lesson on variables. Okay, so when you first came in here, they had something that said const message equals hello world. And that's what they wanted. And so you'll see it says hello world here. That's actually just because I had us write that in there. So let's actually, you know, take that out. And now we can see, okay, we only see a sentence. So let's come back here. So if we want to like get into the HTML and start like working with it side by side, there's some things I can do in JavaScript, and one is called document. So if I get document, it knows, hey, I'm dealing with whatever HTML that I'm linked with. So you can see there's a link here for the style sheet, and there's also a script link for our script. So it knows, hey, I'm dealing with this document. So now with the document, I can do things like get elements. So I can get my elements by a lot of things. There's by ID, there's by class name, by let me try and go down so you can read all these. There's by ID, by class name, by tag name, NS, and get selection. So there's all these ways to do it. The number one way that I like to do it is get by ID, because your ID is unique and it's probably not going to change very much when you're building your web page. So we're going to get it, and I think they called it header. So document.getElement by ID, header, and then we're going to say like inner HTML. Remember how I said that like that's what that part was called? We can even do inner text, but let's just do inner HTML for a second, and let's put our message. Look at that. It just already put it in. So let's go look back here. We'll see that it's still blank. It didn't actually put the words here, but it's doing it after the fact. So what it's doing is our web page is loading, it's reading this. It doesn't have anything in it. So originally there's nothing there. And then it reads this and it puts this as my sentence. And then it, centers everything. Actually, it centers it before. And then it reads our script. And it's doing this so fast that we don't even see a difference. But it's reading our script. And the script is saying, hey, when you recognize this element, I need you to put in a message that we give it. And that's happening so fast that it looks like it's just loading and as if the words were even there, right? Okay, so there's things I can do with this that make it really important. Is maybe I want to, in the beginning of my code, say that, okay, message equals hello world, but later down the line, I want I want something to change. So now I'm going to say like, okay, const new message. And this would be a really good point for like a let, right? So I could just change the message and not have to make new variables. But I'm going to do it this way. So now we said hello world, maybe we should say welcome to my tutorial. Okay, and so right now we're passing by message. We need to send our new variable through. There we go. So now, like I said, this happens so quickly. Like if we hit play, maybe I can turn off live view and hit play. It's happening so quickly that you don't even notice that it put this message in because it updates that one so quickly. So, and there's things we can do to like slow that down. So if you wanted to see it, you could do it. But I don't want to cover that in this beginner lesson. But I think that's probably a good place to stop because I talked about variables. I talked a lot about, the different types of languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I also talked about how to reach the document and put something inside the HTML. Let's join me back. We're going to go through loops. Loops are kind of the next thing and the functions after that on how to build a web page. So thanks for watching this, and I will see you in the next video.